it's 7 o'clock, so here is our little cardinal, and she says, it's 7 o'clock, let's start the meeting. Okay, I wish I could see everybody, but I can't. All right, everyone. It's nice to have you all gathered here. It's the best of times and the worst of times for me. As you know, I'm a tech klutz. So I see Stephanie's name and I see me, but I'm not seeing everybody else, but it doesn't matter. We can still have our meeting. So we need to have a minutes approval. I hope you have your agenda in front of you. We need to have a minutes approval for March. Can we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion that the minutes be approved.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's get that over with. Okay. Jim, do we have to have May approved also?
Yes, because I think in June, if I remember correctly, we didn't have a quorum.
Okay, so let's see if we can get a motion to approve the May minutes, or is there any further discussion about the May minutes?
Jim, were the corrections made to the May minutes? I don't think we ever.
Yes, that's right. Yes, there were some suggestions and I made those corrections and you should have the correct version.
When did we get it?
I don't recall, but I know you had some suggestions and I think there were some others, which I made pretty promptly.
And they look good to me.
Okay, I never saw them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can resend them if you. I can do that now if you want to just wait a minute. I'll try to resend them.
Well, if everyone else saw them, it's no big deal. I just won't make the motion. Did everyone else see them? The May minutes?
I saw the revised minutes, yeah, and they looked fine. So I don't know. Do we want to table that?
I didn't see them.
I think everybody should see them. Don't you?
Okay, I'm going to try to send them right now, but let's continue the meeting.
Yes. Okay. How about the June minutes? Can we? Is there any discussion about the June minutes? I have them in front of me.
I don't have June minutes.
They were sent with the packet from.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I probably didn't open the right thing.
I make a motion to approve them if everyone else is okay with it.
I have to ask about a name. On the second page of the June minutes, it says Rick Vey will make a mock-up sign for the Edgar Putnam Environmental Education Center. I think it's Rick Shea.
Oh, okay.
Janine, how do you spell that?
S-H-E-A, I think.
Say that again.
S-H-E-A.
Yeah, okay.
Is that correct, Andrea? Stephanie, is that how Rick spells his name?
I believe it's S-C-H-E-A.
Yeah, that sounds right. S-C-H-E-A.
Okay. I'm taking the minutes tonight. Is that still good?
What was it, Heidi?
I'm just confirming I am doing the minutes. Just right, Jim?
Thank you, Heidi. Okay. So we're changing the June meeting, the June minutes then to correct Rick Shea's last name. That's the only correction that I saw. Does anybody else see something that needs to be discussed about the June meeting, the June minutes? Okay, can we have a motion to approve the June minutes?
I make a motion to approve the June minutes.
Okay, second.
I'll second it.
Okay, and all approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Now, what about May? Let's get this over with.
May or June? Oh, I'm sorry, May. Yes, I'm gonna send those out to you so people will have an
Okay, the
opportunity.
minutes from March were approved. The minutes for June were approved. We have to share the May minutes so that we can get that off the table.
All right. Well, I'm going to send them out now.
Does anybody? Okay. So I'm gonna make a note to myself at the bottom of the agenda then to get back to that later. Is that okay?
Good idea.
Okay, good. All right, let's proceed. Budget review. I see we have $5,792.23 left because the pandemic pretty much blew our plans. Here we are with lots of money and nothing to do with it, right? Any comment about the budget?
Yeah.
Anything
Well, we're
to
gonna buy
say
some
about?
brochures with it.
Yes. Thank goodness, huh?
Mhm.
Anything
Well,
else?
we just ordered brochures, if I recall, right? At the last meeting, I think we ordered 500 or something like that.
We
Uh,
ordered
Uh,
1,000, but they
1,000.
cost around $500 because we got the a better deal from the other printer.
And Andrea, what's the status of that brochure order?
The status is I still do not have them. I've been talking with Staples, and I'm getting to a point where even though we already paid for them, if they're not going to be able to supply a proof in the next week here, I might have to try to get my money back and, you know, see what other options there are. I know April at Staples has worked with me diligently. But it's frustrating, you know, this is something that we've worked hard to have, and unfortunately we don't have it yet. And we're kind of at the mercy of, you know, other people, which is just the nature of it. But I'm sure that there are other, you know, opportunities that we might have to look into.
Is there anything I can do? Anything that anybody else can do, Andrea?
I mean, at this point, no, because they have our file
And they have our money. They have
Yeah.
our money.
Mm-hmm.
Are-
Yeah,
are
but I know.
Are the files in Photoshop or what?
No, it's a
program are they in?
PDF file. It's not a problem with the file, it's a problem with the printing facility. Originally, Staples worked with a copier, and then the copier wasn't showing the color correct. So then we went from the copier to another facility, which was a printer. And apparently it's a very, I'm sure you've seen the brochure, but it's a difficult brochure. And unfortunately, I guess you have to, you know, lay it out for them exactly how it needs to be printed because they've messed up multiple times. So,
You know, at this point, because we've been waiting months now,
Mhm.
I'm ready to go to Minuteman Press or something and ask what they would charge us.
yeah, well, I will look into it this week. And like I said, you know, if they're unable to supply us a proof that we can approve by the end of this week, then yes, I will see what other options are out there.
There is a, you know, right there on North Main.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
There's-
Minuteman Press. Yeah.
Okay, you are. Okay, good. Well, that's part of our budget issue. We have the money.
Mhm.
We've set it aside. We've approved it. We're still waiting. So let's hope, okay?
Mhm.
Anything else about the budget?
I had one
mean,
other
can-
thing to say about the budget.
Okay,
I know previously we discussed getting 2 fossil signs for the tree, a tree and trees.
Yes.
And we kind of put that off because, you know, we weren't able to meet and, you know, do our normal kind of steps into how we create fossil signs. I mean, if you guys are willing to communicate with me together, I'd be willing to, you know, work with you and maybe try to get those 2 fossil signs this year.
So Andrea, the signs were for what were they? What were the subject of those signs?
So we were looking to replace the 2 signs right behind the native plant garden, the bridge that goes into, it's not the station, it's where
towards,
maybe it is.
towards Morgan Hill, yeah.
Morgan Hill, yeah.
Yeah, Morgan Hill.
Yeah, so we,
is it just me?
what was that?
Okay, I'm not getting audio anymore. Uh-oh.
Are we?
Is it just me?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it's just you, Janine.
Sorry.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear Andrea. This is so frustrating. I can't tell you how frustrating. I'm going to go buy myself a new laptop. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Go ahead, Andrea. Try again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was saying if you guys wanted to, you know, try to spend money on those 2 fossil signs, I would be more than happy to work with you via email, over the phone, you know, and we can do our normal steps without, you know, meeting in person, and maybe we can come up with final designs and spend some money that way.
Yeah, those signs now are kind of an eyesore, actually. They're completely illegible. They're worn out. Yeah, they need to be replaced.
Chris Mason
been
actually
removed.
took them out. Yeah, they've been removed.
Okay.
Yeah, they are really ugly. They were ugly, and they're gone. Well, considering my my tech problem here, I would be a terrible committee member on the sign creation. However, if I follow through on what I just said and do something with this laptop issue, I would love to work on those lines.
I actually did do some preliminary work on that because when we first went into lockdown, you know, nobody was sure how long this was going to go. And I thought, well, maybe we'll be able to do it by the fall. Well, no, but so I do have some stuff, Andrea, just compiled. It's not a text or anything. It's just I have random notes and things pulled out of magazines or whatever. So I do have a head start on that. But I would need guidance as to what we want exactly on these signs too.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's do it. Let's start the signs. Is it Tanya, Heidi, Jim, anybody, Marty, Kurt, anybody else interested in working on the signs?
I'll help.
Okay. So I think the purpose of the signs,
That's all
because of where they'd be located on both sides of the bridge,
Right.
it's what we thought was a wetland area, which it may be, but it's more of a forested wetland area. So we were talking about, an individual tree and then trees.
Sort of
together.
benefits of trees, that kind of thing. Yeah, I've got a ton of stuff on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's decide on our, we don't want to go too long on this issue because we have a long agenda tonight. Let's decide what we're going to do then to begin the creation of these two signs. I guess we can have a Zoom meeting sometime soon.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe just
And-
you and me and see how we go.
Okay. Let's do it sometime
Or
soon.
anybody else
We'll
that wants
email.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. Who else wants to be in on that email?
Well, we could just put it out there. If you want to be in, join.
Okay. All right. We're going
How
to
about
work
that?
on signs because we have the money in the budget. It's a good reason to get moving on this. Okay. I'm going to move us along here. Under budget review, there are a couple of issues. The first is Pools Corner tree planting this fall. Bucks Beautiful still has $1,500, and we still have $1,500, correct?
Yes, and
And-
the borough 1,500.
And the borough, so we have $4,500,
Yes.
and we cannot implement 10 days for trees, but we'd like to get those trees in at Pools Corner.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, Andrea, you probably know the best, or Stephanie, if you're on, you could
Yes.
say, yeah.
Mhm.
What's
Yeah,
up?
let's get that cleared up.
So very quickly, Andrew and I spoke and we knew the money was out there. And so we picked September 12th as the date to plant trees. I've talked to the borough. They're okay with that. It'll be the EACs and we have to watch our numbers. Janine, similar to the way you guys do it when you do the, garden brigade now.
Right, right.
With masks, everybody uses their own equipment, gloves, things like that, social distancing. I mean, we can get our crew and the borough crew to kind of prep everything the way they do, so it'll make it easy and quick for you and the borough EAC to kind of get in. Staff will be there.
September 12th.
September 12th, pick your time in the morning. But at 11 o'clock, the Bike Hike Committee is hoping to host as part of the PA Trail Month, which is also in the whole month of September is the trail awareness. They've held events in the past as trail awareness. It's been a few years since they did it, but there's a mini grant opportunity of $500. So they submitted an application, see if they get it, but they want to host an event at 11 o'clock, which would be a walk, run, ride kind of thing that would start at Pools Corner. So everybody could admire the beautiful trees. Again, social distancing, et cetera. And then they would go on the trails that are there. They would go to the borough, the pump track that was built recently, so that people could see that. And then for the more adventurous, which is over near the Fanny Chapman area. And then from there, the more adventurous walk, run riders could come out to the Walt Berry Trailhead, Central Park. And if they want to go on their own, they can, but basically there and back. Bike hike people will kind of guide the tours and everything like that. So it's sponsored. The reason I kind of did it as sort of a post planting event is that the Pennsylvania Environmental Council is, PEC is one of the co-sponsors of the mini grant with DCNR. So, and of course, we have to have a completely virtual option, because if coronavirus is worse than what it is now, then you got to be prepared to just like, poof, be resilient, make an alternative plan. And so we'll have like videos, and you can all kind of walk, run, and ride on your own and we'll have like a video guide that you can follow. But we're hoping to make a brochure. I love the brochure that you guys were just talking about, that Andrea, you guys put together. So I want to do something like that we can give out or put on the website that people could download if they can't, come out and everything. But it just, the trails have really been a lifesaver during the coronavirus, and people have found them and used them, and it's great, and we're very excited about it. So it's a way that September's Trail Awareness, kind of PA Trails Month, and it's our way of celebrating it. So
Okay. So
So,
Stephanie, what do we have to do to implement then? We have to buy the trees.
yes. So Anne
So-
said there's a little form we have to fill out with, she talked to the woman,
Denise Cizek.
Denise Cisak, thank you. And the money's available, but we need to make an application. Now, she hasn't sent me anything yet, Anne.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll try again with her. She was supposed
Okay.
to send me
But-
something in March, so.
Yeah. So, basically it's my understanding, we fill out the paperwork and we're good to go. They're gonna, come and everything like that. So, but it's not gonna be like the public and everybody and their brother coming to plant trees. We'll have to keep that sort of in the family, if you will.
Okay.
Between the EAC, between the two EACs. I mean, that was something that the borough was a little concerned about, was just opening it up to the public and having way too many people.
Yeah.
And I said, if we keep it to the EACs, that's probably like 14 people. And in the green phase, you can go up to 250 people, but let's not push that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's not what you get out for most of your tree plantings anyway. So I think we're going to be fine with staff and, the volunteers from the two EACs, and, Janine, I know you don't go anywhere without Steve and a couple other maybe from the brigade that'll want to come. Everybody will wear masks. We'll all socially distance.
Okay.
Just be careful when you're planting a tree, make sure you have your masks on and use your own tools, and no sharing of tools, and wear gloves and work gloves. We'll say wear work gloves, so that, if you do pick up Andrea's shovel, everything will be okay. So
does EAC have any other responsibility at this point except to show up?
yeah, I mean, I don't know, we already have the
We have
plan
to
that
get the
was
trees?
So,
shared with PennDOT and everything like that. So
Yeah.
so I hope that, excuse me, we had the plant list, and like the invoice that we were going to purchase, and that was at that time. So I'm sure, I don't know if all the same trees are available, now than they were, a couple months ago. So I guess the EAC potentially could have an input if we have to switch up some of the trees or the number of trees. You might have an input in that, but I'll communicate with Gina over at Schumacher, again, as they helped us create that list, and we're going to help facilitate those trees.
Yeah, Jeff was actually going to tag trees, in March, just before everything shut down. It's really important, I think, that we get back to Jeff Schumacher, not Gina so much. She was good on the plan, but I don't know that she's doing too much on the actual tagging of trees. Jeff Schumacher is the guy, and he's using Feeney's, which all this is real good news for working with Bucks Beautiful, because the Feeney's owner is on their board, and Schumacher Associates does all kinds of stuff with Bucks Beautiful. So if we can keep that nexus together, that would really be helpful. But somebody needs to reach out to Jeff Schumacher who can authorize spending. So it can't be me, it has to be Seth.
Yep. I will do that.
Yeah, Anne, can you maybe email me Denise's information and I can reach out to her directly?
Sure.
That would be great.
I'd be happy to. Yeah.
That's important that we have. I mean, I know they've promised it to us. All we had to do is jump through a hoop. We're ready to jump through the hoop. I just want to make sure the hoop's there.
I think that's a really good idea. I'll do that.
So Andrew and I, if we can, confirm with Denise, then we can confirm with Jeff. We'll do it in that order. Okay?
And is there any further involvement that we need to have?
We need to choose a time. What time are we?
Yeah. Thank you, Heidi.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
usually plantings are early.
The
So
brigade usually works at 9. We usually work from 9 to 11, so
That's
we could
perfect.
keep this.
yeah, that works out really well, Janine, because
Yeah,
the walk, run, ride starts at 11.
right. And how many trees are we talking about? Do we have a
It's
number
about
right now?
22, I think, trees.
Okay, 20 to 22 trees. We're going to have staff and EAC. We should get them in 2 hours. That shouldn't
Got
be
them
a
in
problem.
about 30 minutes if everybody showed up, but yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
we have a plan.
the date again was September 12th, is that right?
Yes.
It's Saturday.
Saturday, September 12th.
I'm putting that right into
Yep.
the EAC calendar right now.
Thank you. Beautiful. Okay. Again, I'm trying to watch our time here, so I'm going to move us along. We have a plan for that. We'll email each other if we need to further discuss Fool's Corner, September 12th. Native plant brochures, we've just discussed. Item C under budget, heavy black plastic for weed solarization. I wonder if I can request a little money, just a little EAC money to buy some heavy black plastic. We have some serious weed infestation in the lower part of the native plant garden. And Danny McBride, one of our longtime volunteers, suggested that we use thick black plastic. Chris Mason says, good, go for it. But I just have to get some money to buy it.
How much do you need?
I don't know. I don't know what this costs. I didn't do any research. It's probably going to be like $50.
Yeah, I think, I would say, barring anybody dissenting here, that I would make a motion that we authorize you to buy that. We have oodles of money. Why not?
Yeah, and it would really be a good thing to kill these weeds. There's something called stickweed it's really, really bad, and it's covering things. So we thought that we could try this. And in fact, maybe we could even make a sign that explains to the public what this black plastic is about so that it becomes an educational experience as well. So
So there's
is there a second? Is there a second to spend the money, maybe about $50?
I second that motion.
Okay, does it vote to approve?
I
Aye.
Aye.
But Janine,
Okay, looks like
is that a permanent solution or a temporary solution? In other words, does it stay there or is it only there for a limited amount of time?
It's to solarize, which is that it's using the heat of the sun to kill the weeds.
Okay.
So it's a temporary solution. It should kill weeds, however. I mean, it should take care of this infested area. You know where it is? It's by that trail behind the bird blind.
Right. But the plastic eventually is
Yeah.
removed. The plastic is removed. Doesn't
Yes,
stay
the plastic is a temporary thing to kill the weeds.
there.
Yeah.
Janine,
So, Yes.
Is this something you're gonna purchase, or are you working with Chris Mason to purchase with him?
I think I'm just gonna go get it.
Okay.
I think I'll just go to Lowe's or someplace and get it, or Lawn Depot, and
Bring the
then on
receipt.
our. So okay, and then for our July,
Weighted down in any way?
say that again.
Need to be weighted down, or they make those kind of lawn staples to
the-
hold it down?
We use those lawn staples. We're going to use those metal staples.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I just buy it, or I can, maybe I'll ask Chris to, I don't know how to handle this yet. Maybe Andrea, Stephanie, is it easier if I work with Chris in terms of the money?
I mean, it's not that difficult. That if you wanted to purchase it and then brought the receipt in, I can do what I need to do administratively.
I'll just
but
do
if-
that. You know why? We have a July workday coming up. You know what? I'm not getting your audio. Okay, I'm not, Andrea, I'm not picking up your audio, but what I'm going to do is buy the plastic and the staples, and I'll get you the receipt and get reimbursed.
Good.
Okay, done. Good. Thank you, everybody. That's going to, and we're going to do that at our July workday, which is the 25th, July 25th from 9 to 11. Okay, new business. Welcome, finally, Kurt Sawyer, our new EIC member. Yay, welcome.
I'm glad to be with you all.
Kurt, would you introduce yourself a little bit? We can see your face and just get to know you a little tiny bit.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And I know a lot of you already from the Ready for 100 group, but I'm lived here in the Doylestown Township area for about 8 years now. My wife and I have lived all over the country. We've picked this area to be our permanent place now that I'm verging on retirement. I've been passionate about particularly clean energy type things in the environmental sphere. We do a lot of things environmentally, but clean energy is really where we're passionate. And so that's why I ended up volunteering on the Ready for 100 group, because they're so involved in trying to get those kinds of things accomplished. And I'm delighted to further extend that into this group here. I know you guys have a lot of things on your plate, but certainly if I can help on the clean energy type stuff and any other place. I'm a finance person by background, professionally, and so I'm always willing to help run the numbers, if you will, put the spreadsheets together, justify projects, those kinds of things. I'm happy to support any of that kind of activity, particularly if that would be helpful to like Dan and the supervisors, because I know that staff time is not abundant at the township. So I'm always happy to help with that.
Great. Well, we're so happy to have you on board, and I'm just ready to use your expertise in whatever ways we can. Thank you, Kurt.
Great.
Oh, good. We have our new member. I'm so glad. So, on the agenda, under new business, Deer, oh dear, why is it here? Well, because residents are asking, what are we going to do about the deer? I did ask Margaret to send everybody the Pennsylvania Game Commission guide for deer management for communities, only because it's a way of opening a conversation. There are residents who are really having some concerns, and I thought at least we could read what the Game Commission had to say, and there are things that maybe we need to discuss. Perhaps this is a subject for our EAC summit. If we have the summit, a Zoom summit in October, maybe deer needs to be one of those subjects. It's interesting when you read the guide to notice that the Game Commission says that mostly what communities end up doing is nothing and just telling people they have to accept the fact that they live side by side with deer and manage on their own. And that's probably wise advice. However, when people's positive life experience gets affected negatively by our huge deer population, I think we have to talk about it. I would like to suggest that at the very least, we discourage people from feeding deer. What say the rest of you?
Yeah.
Janine, I just want to jump in real quick. I wanted to let you know that I met with Eric Allen from Soulberry and Jim Mansfield to talk exactly about this issue in Soulberry. They're having a huge issue there too. And we sat down and we actually put a survey together with them to send out to the residents, just get a feel of how the residents feel about deer and what kind of issues they're seeing, and offering them different options. I can forward that survey to you guys too to look it over. And I was also talking to them that I think it's really critical and would be part of the summit for us all to discuss this, because it's really a Bucks County, it's a county issue, it's a state issue. If we just do it in one township, the deer just walk over the line and then another township. So I think it's really important that we all come together and come up with some solutions together to really nail this and deal with this. I think education is really critical. I think a survey would be really helpful, and start there and then just see what people would be comfortable in doing. And I agree completely that discouraging feeding is a very easy one. So would you like for me to send a survey?
I think the survey, I think it would be useful. And I also think that it's not a Doylestown Township problem. It is a much wider problem. And so let's take a look at the survey and let's talk about, maybe which other municipalities might be interested. I wish we could just open the conversation tonight. That's all.
Yeah.
I know Bucks Audubon, was willing to host something there too, to provide a forum for education there, if you guys would want it to be there. I know that they were willing to put something together and bring some speakers or a panel together and invite the entire community and any townships that would be interested in participating. So that's also on the table.
These brochures, were they?
Okay, great.
Marty's,
The brochures, were they handed out yet? I haven't seen any.
I think Marty's talking about the brochure that that was sent to Janine about no feeding the deer. Was that sent out or is that available?
Yeah, it was attached in the packet, wasn't it?
But it was. But it hasn't been.
Did everybody get the please don't feed the deer?
Yes.
Yes.
But it hasn't been shared with anyone yet, right? It was just with our EAC.
Just with the EAC, that's all. Nobody else has seen that, no. It was just part of what the Game Commission had available that I thought, we should take a look at it.
Do you know if we have a problem in the township with people feeding deer? I mean, trying to feed deer. I feed deer
Right.
because they eat everything that they can possibly chomp on, and then I send them up to Kurt's house.
That's right. Janine, I guess I'm curious as to when you have heard expressions of concern about deer, was it primarily predation where they're eating people's gardens, or was it people running into them with their SUVs, or what's the issue of concern?
The issue that I've heard about is the predation. It is people's trees, shrubs, perennials, annuals, potted plants being eaten. I have not heard about the auto accident problem personally, but we all know that is an issue. But township residents, 3 recently, hiya Dan, 3 recently asked me about it. Can't EAC do something about the deer? And no, we
Do they have
can't.
any suggestions, by the way? When they come in and say, we want you to do something, what do they have something in mind?
I don't think so. I think I think people are just complaining. It is a huge issue. So maybe we could proceed with some kind of discussion. The Game Commission guide talks about a deer management committee. I don't know if we want to call it that, or just a deer discussion group or something. I don't know where this could go, but it is what I'm hearing is people just pulling their hair out about about their plants being ruined. And certainly that's happening with me too.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, to me, one of the important things is they browse down saplings and trees, right? And so it creates a problem for the generation of new forests. So, I mean, one of the things we might do is, as part of education, is to teach people how to protect their newly planted trees. And that might be something we could do at the September 12th event. It might be something we could do separately to that. But yeah, to me, it's about protecting young trees. And maybe we can have a list of deer-resistant plants. I don't know if there is such a thing, but we can.
Yes, there
Oh,
is.
there's a zillion of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Any-
so I
So I think
yeah.
if we,
things we can do, but it's, I mean, I think we have to set expectations that, look, this is, you live in the suburbs, you live next to nature. This is a little bit of the yin and the yang of living in nature, right? So, but I think there's a few things we can do.
I think,
Jim, if we
I
do
think-
do it,
I think this is an education issue more than anything else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, if they think there's some magic bullet out there that will just snap your fingers and the deer are gone, well, that's not going to happen. But I think if individuals understand more about, okay, what selections can I make that will be better? What kinds of practical steps can I take to make this better? You know, we deal with this. We have deer in our yard every day,
Yes.
every day.
And then they come to mine.
Well, no, I thought you sent them.
Oh,
But
I sent them up to you. That's right.
either way.
They come across to me too, believe me.
So we all deal with this. I don't find it a problem. Yes. Do they munch on certain plants? Yeah. If we get a harsh winter, do they eat more stuff? Yeah, I get that. But, you know, we also can control the predation. You know, yes, to Jim's point, you know, we put fencing around our young trees so that they can't harm the bark early on. And then, you know, the tree will ultimately get established and they'll leave it alone. We plant daffodils rather than tulips because they love to eat tulips, so they don't eat bad daffodils. Okay, you know, I can live with those things. There are deer repellents, there's all kinds of stuff. But to me, that's does the population understand what simple steps you can take? None of these things are expensive, but simple things you can do to limit the predation by the deer to the things that you don't care about so much.
I think we do. I think we can generate some kind of educational tool.
Mhm.
I agree.
Planting is a good idea. We could film something, I think. If we're going to be planting the young trees, we can film it and then post it with an explanation.
I think that's a great idea. This could be an opportunity for us to create a short kind of video, you know, if anybody, while we're planting, or Curtis just said that he has trees in his backyard, you know, you could snap some nice photos or a small video, and then we can incorporate that with a voiceover talking about the information and create a short educational film.
Could also list things that are already online. There are a lot of things online already, videos and lists of plants and things like that, and just create a resource for people to link into.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have that on the township website, and if any of you guys have checked out the website recently, but there is a whole page for the Environmental Advisory Council, and there's, you know, lots of topics. Adding a deer management section would be a great idea, and then that's a good place to, you know, list URLs, to you know, add photos, add videos. So if you guys have resources that you want me to share, send them my way, and I can, you know, add them to the website. And then you can direct residents to the website, to that page, to learn more.
Is there anybody in this group who would lead that effort?
Well, Gina, I'm willing to write an educational piece. If you want me to write a brief white paper describing, you know, providing some context and maybe some practical tips, and then some URLs.
I'm not getting good audio anymore. I don't know why.
Yeah, you might have a bad Wi-Fi connection. Gina. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But anyway,
Can you
yeah,
hear
I
me?
can hear you better now. But Jim, why don't you write something? We can almost.
I'll write
No, can't.
a short white paper and some resources, and the group can look at it. over the next, between now and the next meeting, and then we'll decide if we want to post that or how we want to proceed with that. But I think the point is setting expectations and then providing some education.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you, Jim. We'll take a look at that. We'll proceed then after you have a chance to put something together. Thank you for stepping up. Okay, guys. Kara Raymond is on our meeting Zoom tonight because she had. Kara, why don't you explain why you're here tonight?
Okay. Hi. I live off of Edison Furlong on a street no one's ever heard of called Sheridan Road. And I live next door to a small piece of township property. Just a little background, I went to Abington High School. I've lived in California since I was 20. I bought this house here in Doylestown 7 years ago because I just love Doylestown. And I have family here. This little patch of land next to me is owned by the township. I guess it was meant to be a paper road and they never developed it. So the trees in there have just been basically decimated, partly by weeds, but there were a number of ash trees that the ash borer got. So Paul was nice enough to get it on the list 2 years ago, and they took, I think, 5 trees down, and now there's 2 more that have to come out. So now it's just being overrun by anything that can find space to grow there. There's a house across, I live next to it. There's a house, it's surrounded by houses basically. And it's, I don't know, it's maybe, I don't even think it's a half an acre. It might be a half an acre of land. And Paul had suggested that I contact Janine because I was inquiring if the township in any way would help with replanting some trees. Not a lot, maybe 3 trees, 4 trees, just to keep it as a small little, neighborhood forest. The problem that is people sometimes don't regard it as a little forest, and they have dumped things in there, which I managed to get some of them cleaned out of there. People were dumping tires in there, and what people do anyway. So Janine invited me. Janine was nice enough to come over and take a look and invited me to come tonight. And I've done a little bit of homework since then. Janine, I don't know if you saw the email I sent back to you this evening after you sent me the link, but there are a couple of catalpas that grow on my street. There's little swales here, in between the houses. So there's plenty of water for them and they grow quite well. I have some shagbark hickories on my property, as well as some maples, and I don't know, the guy who helps me sometimes with my property told me to stop planting trees, that I don't have any more room to plant trees on my property. So I like to garden, obviously. But the property next to me, I just would like it to be, not fancy, not a lot of work, but just some help to get some trees to replant what's there so it just doesn't become a soggy weed mess. And I'd be willing to tend to them and water them and make sure the weeds are kept down once the area is cleared out enough for the trees to get established. There are some deer around here. I don't have a lot of problem with the deer. They sleep in my yard in the wintertime. They don't seem to bother me much in the summertime, but I do spray the perimeter of my property with like liquid deer fence or whatever it's called. And that seems to hold them off for the most part. But so there might need to be a little bit of deer protection for them. So Janine invited me to come and see, what process there might be to get some help clearing it a little bit so that a few trees could be planted. So there'll be 7 trees altogether that have been lost in there, all ash trees. And obviously we don't want to plant any more ash trees. A friend of mine has some catalpa saplings on her property that she's willing to let me come and dig up. And again, they're pretty small. She also has a couple of shagbark hickories, she told me today, that she'd also be willing to donate. And I'd be willing to take care of them until the fall when it's a good time to actually put them in the ground, but I would need some help, and I could probably get some of my neighbors to help as well. to just clear out enough area to get them planted. And then I'd be happy to, keep it clear for the next couple of years to let them get established.
Hey, Kara, did you say this is township property?
Yes, it's owned by the township. Yep, it borders my property. There's another house on the other side of it. There's a house across the street from. There's only 6 houses on my street. It's a very small street, but it's between. I don't know if anyone knows where Bedford and Wilkshire roads are.
I live just across Edison Furlong Road from you, actually.
On the other
I
side.
live off Edison.
Okay, yeah, this is kind of like just before Wilkshire becomes the end of Pebble Hill Road that nobody knows about, that end of Pebble Hill Road where the big farm is. There's a big horse farm out there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Stephanie, what is the township's position or policy on this kind of issue? I don't know if it's.
Yeah, those are old properties. The Wilkshire track is very interesting history in the township. They're considered movie lots. They were developed, if you want to see a heavy duty development, the plan for the Wilkshire track is very interesting. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of like 100 by 20 lots, and they were sold at the movie theaters, and people in Philadelphia bought them at the movies when the movies were first coming out, and they would come up and summer on the Neshaminy, take the trolley and come up, and in the 1900s that's what they did. And so a lot of the places ended up getting combined. A lot of people purchased like multiple lots, and so they made the small, sometimes you see these like down the shore as well, and so they ended up combining and making larger, more
losing audio.
The lots. And so but there were still a few out there that over what we call the upset sales tax and stuff, is that people didn't pay taxes on the property or whatever. And so over the years the township acquired multiple lots, and when sewer went in there, the township actually sold 3 or 4 of the lots that we had obtained, but we still have a few. A couple of them are like kind of worked as basins, and then others were just left as wooded areas. This, I have to check to see with Paul and Dave to see how this particular lot that Kara's speaking about, does it have any, is it just wooded? It may just be that we wanted to keep it sort of open space and wooded and not go in there. I mean, obviously we have to think about the ordinance and clearing underbrush and understory and the forest floor and things like that. So we'll have to consult probably with Judy Goldstein as well as to what should be done there and everything like that, and what we can do under our woodland ordinance.
Okay.
But we can look into it further, and I talked to Dave and Paul and everything. But that's sort of the history of the Wilkshire track. Very interesting.
That's fascinating. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a great plan. If you, it was kind of funny because we pulled the plan, I guess it was in the 90s, and it's really kind of shocking because there were like 800 properties.
Wow.
I mean, so you want to talk about open space and concern. And it's like from like I'm going to get my dates all wrong and everything, but I'm going to say the early 1900s. So yeah, it's fascinating. It's really great history.
Just such Paul has been here a couple of times, so he will know the piece of land if you talk to him.
Okay.
He was here about a week ago when I called him about the two more dead ash trees. And I do know, according to the township map, that property next to me that's owned by the township is one piece of property. It's not the little slices that there are in other parts, especially on Bedford. There's still a lot of those slices on Bedford. This is just one clear.
Yeah, no, but it was made up of slices. That's what
it
happened.
might have been at one time. Yeah.
Yeah, it just what happens is that the tax mapping up at the county offices, if you own multiple slices, so to speak, and in one entity, they'll mush them all together and make one parcel out of them and everything.
Gotcha.
But I'll talk to Paul, I'll talk to Dave, and
Okay.
Kara, if you know, if you've talked to him, we'll be able to have your contact information, and we'll be in touch then.
Thank you. That'd be wonderful. I'd be happy to be helpful in any way.
Okay.
Good. I did a little homework too. I emailed Paul Gar and Chris Mason just to find out if there were other lots like the one next to Kara's house in the township. And yes, there are many apparently. I don't know where they are, but there are little pieces of land that are owned by Doylestown Township that are reverting into overgrown little plots with some nice trees on them, but the trees are being overgrown and all these invasives are in there. So I did a little bit of homework, and I'm just going to throw it out there because you know how I am. I like to have a vision, and so here's a vision. What if someday Doylestown Township made mini forests out of these lots that the township owns? What if we had a tree brigade? What if we had this little mini forest brigade where a little group of people went into these places and did some clearing out, some volunteers, people who care about trees. We go in, we clear out the junk, and then the residents who are interested, like Kara, can go in and put some trees in that their friends and relatives have given them. We always have baby trees. I know some of you probably always have baby trees. Well, what if we had mini forests? If you Google what they're doing in places like the Netherlands, they're creating mini forests. It's another way of creating green corridors and increasing the number of trees on the planet that are healthy. So just FYI, just an idea, just a vision, but maybe somebody someday will take that ball and run with it. Could it be EAC? I don't know, maybe. But we have a native plant garden. Why couldn't we also have mini forests?
There's a lot of birds who love living in there. I know that much.
Well, Janine, I think it's a great idea. I'd be interested in helping with that. I think probably first would be just identifying where these different plots are and going from there and starting with where all the plots are and which ones are, easily, the most easy to start with. Do you have
I'm going to follow up with Paul and Chris and see if they can, if they can give us some direction on where there are some more of these plots. In the meantime, we'll get more input from Stephanie about Kara's spot and the process. But wouldn't it be cool to have a little group to go into places like that? Kara calls up and says, I have, I'm willing to work with the mini forest next to my property. It's owned by the township. Send the brigade. We go in, we clear it up a little bit, trees go in.
I think it's a great idea. I love it. I love it, Janine. I'm happy to get involved with that.
I like the
Oh,
view.
me too.
That's exciting. So,
Wouldn't it be fun?
Yeah, definitely. So
Okay,
I'm in.
and good, Tanya.
Janine, can you just keep me in the loop then and let me know? Because I'll be happy to be helpful anyway. I'm not an official part of the committee, but I'd be happy to be kept in the loop and see how I can be helpful to the process.
Yeah,
So,
and Kara,
I have lots of free time these days.
I don't think you're alone. I think there are other people in the township who would say, yeah, I could do that. Every now and then I could go help clear out a lot, put some baby trees in, and anyway, it's an idea. So my next step is to get back in touch with Paul and Chris and see if they can give us an idea of where these spots are. Okay?
That's awesome.
Great, thank you.
Janine, one suggestion I have for that is when you guys get to that point, maybe think about sending letters or something to the neighboring properties just so they don't suddenly wonder why all these people are suddenly on a lot they think they might own or are part of their property.
Oh, I've already talked to all my neighbors, at least for my little piece here. They all know that I'm on the hunt. There's only 6 of us or 7 of us that live on the street. So I think there's only one person who doesn't know. So, but I agree. I think letting people know would be very important for sure.
Yeah, Jan, you're right. Yes. You don't want to have people just wandering around and then they think it's their property. Yeah.
Right. Dan, I'm not getting any audio from you. I see you, but I can't
Oh.
hear you.
Don't know.
Well, maybe I can recap it. Dan was just suggesting
I like-
that if we do this, that
Yep,
we notify
there goes
the
my
neighbors
audio.
by
Oh,
letter,
yeah.
so that they know what we're up to.
I'm not getting any audio.
I'll type it up in chat for.
There you go. That's a good idea, Dan.
I'd like
I
to
didn't
see
hear the
mo-
audio.
Okay. I think we have to go on, though. Let's move on.
All right.
I'm gonna sign
know,
up
you-
for everybody.
you're right,
this
okay.
evening, But I
Here's
think
Thanks,
you
Kara.
can join again, and you can let me know if there's another meeting. I'd be happy to sit in. If I'm
Fantastic, Kara.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, Sarah. We'll be in
Yeah.
touch.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next on the list is the EAC Summit in October via Zoom. We said October 7th. Are we going to go ahead with that?
Yes.
And what are the topics? And
Well, I guess dear management, right?
Your management.
dear management, I think the discussion needs to take place, yeah. Other topics?
I think it might be interesting to do environmentalism during COVID.
And can you speak to that? Do you have some ideas about?
I don't. I think it's getting lost in the sauce, totally.
Yeah.
I don't
think-
know how to bring it forward again.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for ideas.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we have to come with, I don't think we have to be the source of all knowledge. I think we can just raise it and bring it as a discussion topic and see what people are doing during these times.
Exactly, Jim. Maybe people would have ideas, things I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
But I find it very frustrating now because I listen to a half hour of news, they don't even mention the environment. Nothing.
But there are a lot of things actually going on still. There's like wildlife corridors that's being pushed forward. There's still a lot of fights against fracking in the state. There's actually a lot going on, and I can send you stuff, Ann, if you want.
Okay, that'd be good.
And
But
even
I
at the,
don't
even
know,
at the
maybe that's
national
just
level,
something that popped into my head for a topic.
even at the national level, it's starting to get traction. You know, Biden has now come out with his clean energy by 2035
Right?
program, whereas during the 2016 election, there was not a single mention that I know of about climate change. So it's starting to bubble up.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's also like National Audubon is suing the government over the Endangered Species Act. There's legislation that was put forward to strengthen those acts. Ready for 100 is really gaining some traction here in Bucks County and throughout the country. So there's a lot actually going on that's, going, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, so we could have that as a topic and share what people know about and encourage.
Just throwing it out there. I'm not defending it, just saying that's an idea.
I think that's good. I wasn't there last year when you had the summit. For some reason, I wasn't there, but I think we asked all the EACs to come with their own topics, right? What were they doing at their EACs, if I remember correctly?
We had some breakout groups too then, Jim. We had, everyone did a report and then there were some breakout groups based on some different topics.
Now, did that work well?
It did.
Should we do
It
that?
was
again?
a very good summit. It was well attended and it was a good summit.
I mean, it's hard to break out into different groups, doing Zoom if we can't. If we're
Oh,
doing-
that's right. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Of course, it's Zoom.
Yeah, we're stuck with this format. So
I'm
we have to modify the plan to fit this format.
Could we? Let me,
You could do breakout rooms in Zoom.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
If there are certain topics, we could break out and then come back together.
if we did a meeting outside, would that be allowable? An outdoor meeting with social distancing? Is that even a consideration?
I mean, if the weather's good though, Jim, what would be the contingency if the weather was bad?
You're right. October. I was
Yeah.
thinking September. It's October. You're right.
October, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you can do, I mean, in the green right now, I think you can do an event up to like 250 people. That was one of the reasons we couldn't do the summer concerts is because we average like 500 a night for concert plus the big fireworks with thousands. But if your summits are maybe what, like 100 at the most?
Oh, no,
Oh,
no.
even less.
30
No.
Like 30 people.
No, not even that. Not even that.
All
40.
right. Well, and here's the whole thing. Not everybody's going to feel comfortable coming. So if you typically get 40, I thought you had 100. I don't know why. Seemed like it was always bigger. But anyway, if you get, say you average 40, there are going to be people who do not feel comfortable coming out regardless. And I think, yeah, you could host something. We could figure something out in the main meeting room with that many people. If you limit it to just try to encourage at least only 2 people from each EAC to come, you guys are the hosts, so you can have as many, but I'm just thinking there's ways to protect, obviously if they would do it in the building, everybody's going to have to wear a mask the whole time,
Which makes it hard to talk. It's hard to communicate with masks on.
And also, you don't know what if we're not in the green in October anymore? What if we're back in yellow or in red?
And you're back to virtual event, which is, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
We should just plan it as a Zoom event myself.
All right. I think that.
Well, I think that's the most realistic.
We have, I think we also have Zoom webinar. We've never used it yet, but that would be where you have speakers, and you can kind of do like presentations and everything. Okay. But I've never done the rooms, the breakout rooms, Tanya. So
yeah, it would just have to be the host has to control that. But it's easy. It works. It works. You can break out into 2 or 3 people. They can discuss something, and then you can come back to the group and report out. It actually works out okay.
Mm-hmm. Would you guys designate someone to be your host so that you could mediate that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So do we have a date for
Well,
that?
it can't be me. I can't. I'm having trouble tonight. So
October 7th. Jim, it's October 7th.
October 7th. Okay. So then we would need to send invitations maybe end of August,
beginning of September.
end of August, early September. That would be about 4 weeks. And we have a distribution list. Andrea, do you have a distribution list for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe we have the same list, but I'm not sure if it's
Okay.
grown on your end. Yeah.
Okay. So do we want to send a save the date earlier than that?
I think we should.
Okay.
yeah, let's get it rolling. I mean, we have the list of attendees, potential attendees. Let's plan then to get the save the date out pretty soon, and then the actual invitation after our August meeting.
Okay.
Because we will have had some time to think about it, and we'll see what the COVID situation is in
And the school situation, because that's going to be a big thing for anybody that's got kids, school age kids. They're not going to be thinking about anything else but what to do with the kids. So
Yeah.
All right.
I
So,
can work
through that home. Yeah.
so can I ask? So typically we do this like sort of like 7 to 9, 7 to 10. Was it 2 hours? Is that what we're talking about?
2 hours. Yeah, like 7 to 9. Yeah.
Okay, 7 to 9. So Andrea,
7 to
you could start to create a save the date email, and if people are comfortable, let me do a first draft of a potential agenda, and I'll get that back to everybody next week. Draft agenda, and then we could talk about it at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just so everybody knows that that's also the date that we meet for Ready for 100.
Oh,
So we would have to cancel that and invite the
Or
EAC.
can we merge that with the EAC summit?
We could, that could be a separate, maybe that could be a separate group that reports out.
Good idea.
Oh, that'd be a great topic then.
Yeah. I think that will be a topic. We'll definitely want to work that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tanya, thanks for noticing.
Good catch, Tanya.
Let's just keep it. Okay. So Jim, you and Andrea are gonna get some preliminaries done. We'll make some final decisions then in August. Okay, I think we have a plan. Moving along then. Okay, Ready for 100. How we doing?
Well, I mean, I think that we're starting to hit our stride. So let me just say that certainly kudos to both to Tanya and to Heidi for helping us get more organized. With all of the distractions that are happening in our lives now, it's been hard to focus on that. But we're in a position now where we're having a mid-month meeting to prepare for the actual meeting at the beginning of each month. So that seems to be working well. Getting agendas out. it feels like we're building some momentum. We have a pretty regular group that participates now. And I can tell you that both Solebury and Buckingham seem to be active with resolutions. They seem to have support at the level of their Board of Supervisors. So that seems to be progressing. So I'm encouraged about that.
Good.
I mean, Tanya, Heidi,
Great.
Kurt, your views on that?
Jim, I agree completely. I think we're, building some nice momentum. I think it's really important to have that, regular monthly meeting. And, we're getting, as a leadership group, getting more and more organized too. And I think it's going really, really well. We have some nice short-term and long-term goals, and I'm excited. I think it's, really, really going well. Tanya, what do you think?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going well. We're even considering putting forward a resolution for the county to adopt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think it's picking up steam. Now, I think from my point of view, what we're missing now is, it hasn't been that long, but it feels like a long time, that we need to get the township moving. So we can't forget that we really, I mean, our biggest influence is here in the township. And given that we have the resolution in place, I feel like we should continue to lead on this issue. So now that we have the resolution, what do we do? Because we want to set an example for the other communities that are a few steps behind us. And so we've been brainstorming a little bit, and particularly now that we have Kurt on board, and you heard Kurt earlier describe some of his preferences and his skills. I think we'd like to maybe start to take the next steps within the township. And so a couple of things that we should consider are, on one hand, I think we would like to cooperate with Buckingham and Solebury, and we should do that over time. But, nothing prevents us from actually exploring the idea of simply purchasing renewable energy for the township right now. I do at my house. Kurt generates his own electricity, so does Heidi. I mean, we could do that, but we could simply go out and buy electricity now. So I don't know, and Stephanie might know, or Dan, but I don't know what power purchase agreements are currently in place for the township, how much electricity we use, where we get it, if any of it is renewable. But I would like to maybe, not in this meeting, but offline, start to have a discussion with Stephanie and maybe Dave, and explore how much electricity we're using, how much we pay, where it comes from, and then, if feasible, start to consider perhaps, over at least certainly over a short period of time, maybe a year or two, if it makes sense to go to a 100% renewable electricity purchased from one of the providers, see what that would cost, and if it's cost neutral, maybe that's something we want to do, or even if the difference is negligible, it might be something we want to do. So I'd like to start to explore that, and whoever wants to be involved with that, maybe that's something Kurt can sink his teeth into as well. So that would be something I think we could do relatively quickly and easily. I don't know how much scope there is to make that happen, but we should explore it.
Jim, are you describing an energy audit? Is what you're describing an energy audit?
No, I wouldn't describe it as an energy audit at this point. What I would say is, it will feed into an energy audit, but I'm simply saying, how much electricity does the township use? Where do we buy it? How much does it cost? I think it's just that's, from my point. It's just, now, maybe that's very naive. It may be more complicated than that. I don't know yet. But I'd like to start to figure out if we can't just, if we can buy renewable energy for nearly the same cost we buy dirty energy, why wouldn't we switch? So I don't know. So I'd like to find out about that.
Jim?
Okay, well, Jim, we're happy to work with you on that. We, for many, many years, and I'm not sure the current status, but the Association of Pennsylvania Municipal Management was doing just that for member municipalities. And so we were kind of ahead of the curve on some of this stuff with our energy purchasing and everything. We've had audits done before of our bills and PICO and all that kind of stuff. We also did I believe we had PICO out and did an energy audit as well. So, happy to work with DAC on this. And I think between Ken and Rick Shea and Ken Wallace, we'll be able to, they'll be able to tell us where things are at. I know there's times when, you know, it's financially feasible and other times when, you know, it hasn't been as profitable to kind of do that based on the companies and the bids they were getting.
Right.
But yeah, when the deregulation and all that came about, that was a big thing, and we were doing that then.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
happy to work with you on it.
Good. I mean, thanks, Stephanie. I mean, I think certainly the economics will continue to trend, I think, in the favorable direction. The other thing I would say, though, is longer term, I do believe we want to do this on a regional basis. So I wouldn't want to lock us into something that's, let's say, 5, 10, or 15 years, because the opportunities will continue to get better. But maybe over a year or 2 or 3, as other communities engage with Ready for 100, and then we can make a bigger investment. You know, Kurt, you may have a view on this as well, but Kurt made the point recently that interest rates are so low now, it's a good time to make investments in some of these bigger projects. And so we wouldn't want to, you know, foreclose on the opportunity to do something bigger in the foreseeable future.
Right, Jim, I completely agree with that, because you're never going to find a better time to make an investment than right now with interest rates virtually at 0. So it's easy to find projects that will pay back with interest rates this low. But to Jim's point, we've already reached the crossover point where the operation of solar and wind energy facilities produces power at a lower rate than fossil fuels. And we are almost at the point where a new startup solar facility will still be cheaper than just operating a coal plant. So we are at that point where we're going to continue to have these opportunities, and we should be taking advantage of them. And Jim, I'm happy to be involved in that.
Great.
May I ask then that between now and our August meeting, that Jim and Kurt and whoever else wants to jump on this and has the time, will meet with Stephanie and Dave and Ken and anybody else. Let's decide that between now and the August meeting, we have a meeting of minds, just to begin this discussion.
Okay, I'm gonna, Janine, I'm gonna accept that. I'll get with Kurt and anybody else who wants to participate. I can't promise a lot of activity between now and August, because obviously it is August. People are taking vacations. I'm going on vacation shortly, but I will take at least the first step between now and the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, at least set a date, you know, at least set a date for that meeting to take place, if
Okay.
that's possible. Even if it happens after our August meeting, but at least get something started. Especially because on the township level, we have people who need to hear about Ready for 100, and also about what Kurt just described. The sustainable energy is something we should be looking at now, right now. Boom. Okay, thanks.
Jim, I like
How
to
about Birdtown?
Jim, I like to be involved with that too.
Okay, Heidi,
Okay.
you're in.
What about Birdtown, Heidi? How's there is a fall summit scheduled?
No, Birdtown's a bit of a mess right now. Just because of
Oh.
COVID, Audubon, PA is no longer. They've merged with Maryland and possibly another state. They're creating a whole other structure for like a tri-Atlantic state structure for Audubon. So things are really up in the air right now. So I had a call to Stacy over at Bucks Audubon. I haven't heard from her about what the status is. So things are really in the flux right now with Birdtown. So Birdtown's on hold right now until I hear more.
Okay. All right. Well, remember we talked about the habitat recognition program and all that. So everything is
everything was going really well until COVID hit, and things are just a mess right now. These, these nonprofit organizations are really struggling to stay alive right now. So
yeah.
it really comes down to it.
Thank you.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Oh man, things are changing. All right. Next on the list is our idea to have an invasive plant blog in lieu of hands-on workshops. You have created a list of invasive plants to blog about, and it looks like you, Ann, and I are willing to work on that. So what's the plan?
Well, I haven't heard anything more except from you, Janine. I don't know, Ann, if you were interested. And then I was also waiting to hear from Andrea of how much space we have to work with. So I was kind of on hold and waiting for our meeting tonight to get some more clarification.
Okay, let's figure this out.
So Ann, are you interested in helping?
I actually did not volunteer for this.
Okay, okay, then not. That's
I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it, but if I'm gonna work on the tree signs, I think I'd rather focus on that rather than the invasives.
No problem.
Okay. Andrea, how much room do we have for blogging on our section, on our page on the website?
Andrea, you need to unmute yourself. Andrea, you're muted right now.
Oh, Andrea muted. Oh.
Thank you. So we could do multiple things. We could do a blog, which you guys would have as many words as you wanted. If we were to do it on the website, we would need to have, a nice cover photo, and then text, and then other photos, to go along with it. So it could either be as short or as long as you'd like. We could also do kind of like how we had the kind of half-page note card looking thing that we had to market the events that we were going to have. We could do something like that too, kind of keep it simple and post that as like an image, on the website or social media. So whatever information you guys want to put together, I can put it together in like a creative way and then share it with you.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like it's pretty wide open. So what I'll do is I'll draft something and I'll send it to Janine and you guys can look it over and we can go from there.
Okay. Great. And we can do this every month. We can have a different invasive plant every month. It could be fun. Photograph, name a plant, a little text, done.
Yeah. And then if, we are going to kind of do it every month, maybe we could say, for the next 5 months, and then people can look forward to, seeing that the new blog post or the new post on social media come up, on the same day, so they can look forward to it.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. And also we want to add in there too how to remove it, so that'll be really important too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Okay, I'll get working on this and send you guys that out by the end of the week.
Okay, so Heidi, you and I are going to be working on this on the website blog. That sounds like fun.
Okay, great. Anybody else want to join in? Okay.
It's okay. We all have our pressure, man. I'll tell you that. Anyway, so thank you. Good. We're moving along. How about composting, Tanya? How about that idea that maybe DVU could get us a grant to push composting?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know I connected Stephanie with Chris Gambino, who is the faculty member that was looking at a particular grant, and I don't know where it stands.
Yeah, I talked to him and, told him what we had and what we could do. And he did not think that what we were doing fit with what would really be that grant and the amount of money needed. And to really do the program he wanted, it was very limiting. It was about $90,000 grant or something. So it was very limiting. And he said he also kind of needed to, I guess, run it around the flagpole over at the university. And I said, well, call us back if need us for something. But what we're doing and I think what he expected may be two different things.
Okay.
Okay. So done for now, unless something else pops up. Mm-hmm. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Thank you for getting it started. But we do encourage composting. So however else we continue to do that, we will. And there is something on the website about composting. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's nice. Okay. Good. Native Plant Demonstration Garden. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. We had a June maintenance day. We were very obedient. We had masks. We didn't share tools. We stayed apart. We got 9 people who came.
Janine, how many people?
Andrea, 9.
9, okay, thanks.
Yeah, 9 people were there. Andrea completed the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society contest application. We sent photographs, we sent text, It's in. We'll hear something perhaps in September. Pollinator Palace has had lots of pollinator activity, perhaps too much. So Chris Mason has put a construction, that yellow construction tape around the Pollinator Palace just to keep people away from it. And I don't know if Owen Neal has done this yet, but his plan is to put up a rope barrier so that
It's
people
there.
don't get too close. It's there, great.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, we've had some issues with the weed whacking. It's taking out some plants on the perimeter of the garden, including plants that were protecting the public from the Pollinator Palace. I met with Chris Mason to talk about this overly enthusiastic weed whacking. It's the contracted guys who are doing it. He was going to be talking to them. We're going to have to install some more shrubbery to protect the hike path from the Pollinator Palace. So I'm glad the rope is up, but we're going to be putting in some plants too. I have to report that somebody stole 3 little grasses. We had weeded around them. They're called Carex appalachia. We had weeded around them. I took a neighbor to go see the garden 2 days after we weeded, and the plants were removed. My little marker was there, but the plants were gone. I don't know what happened, but I just have to report that somebody took some plants. I hope they don't take any more.
Janine, could a deer have possibly eaten them?
No, these were dug out.
I walk at the park often, and I've seen people try to like pick stuff. And I was actually going to bring it up if you guys think I know we don't want to add any more signs, but.
Well, I
if you
wish they'd
think
keep
it's a
their hands
problem.
off, but it's a public place. We're going to have to expect some vandalism, I guess, but it is a little discouraging.
That's true.
Anyway, the display case is up. It's beautiful. Andrea has put stuff into it. It looks so nice. And I hope that we do finish it with a sign that says Edgar Putnam Environmental Education Center. I hope that happens soon. The Look What's Blooming in the Garden on Instagram, I would still like to pursue that more. We just have to send pictures, right? But we have to send them to Andrea.
Mm-hmm. I did just post a really pretty bee balm picture from 2 days ago. So even though you're not sending it to me, it's still happening. So, but yes,
Thank you,
if you guys have pictures, at the garden or at your houses that you want, to share, send them my way.
Okay. Thank you for doing that. Just a reminder that it's nice to get those pictures up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, memorial yellowwood tree to honor Don Richardson. The money for the tree is in. Don Richardson's partner, Bert DeVries, sent $300 to our township to buy a yellowwood tree to honor Don. That's going to happen. I've been in touch with Gina Frederick from Jeff Schumacher. They found the tree. We're going to plant it in September or October. We're just going to hold off on planting it because it's been so hot. It's not a good time to plant that tree. But the money is in, the tree is located. Gina knows we're going to put it in the fall. As far as the bench, I'm sorry.
You have a location for the tree?
Yes, and if you'd like to go see it, Chris Mason and I walked around the garden, and we think we found the perfect spot for the bench and the tree. Anybody else wants to have input on that, please come, shoot me an email. I'll meet you over there and I'll show you. And if you want to take a look at the spot that we think both the tree and the bench should be, I'd love to share it with you. I think we have a good spot, but it is going to take some clearing work to put that yellowwood tree in. I'm going to see if the brigade can do some of that work, and I'll let you know. But it's not going in for a couple months anyway. But we do have the tree. Yep. Well, that's pretty cool.
I would be more than happy to help prepare the ground for Don's tree. That would be
okay, great. Let's do it sometime after your daughter's wedding, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's just do that sometime in August. Like or maybe we could do it as part of the regular maintenance day down there, or
Yeah.
maybe we'll do it in, August, but we'll clear out the area.
Are we
It's
gonna
not going to
need-
be that hard.
Are we gonna need a machine to clear, or we can do it by hand?
If we need, I think once we take a look at it and we do some preliminary work, Chris said, if something big has to come out, he'll get it out.
Okay.
So I think we have a nice team.
Okay.
I'm not hearing any audio, so I have no idea if anybody's talking. Anyway, recycling magnets are ready. I'd love to have a couple. I'm going to have to come by someday to pick up a few things. If anybody else wants to get them. Andrea, you have them, right?
That is correct.
Yep. All right.
Do you want me
we
to
don't
mail
have a
them
way-
to you?
No, I could stop by with a mask on. I have some other things I should pick up anyway. But if anybody else wants them, we could pick them up, right? Just
Yes, of
let
course.
you know ahead of time. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any information, Andrea, about the additional sign on the display case at the garden?
Not yet. I've been working with Rick Shea to get it done. You weren't at the last meeting, but we did discuss kind of like what it's going to look like and where it's going to be in between, the legs of the message board. It's not going to be like originally I thought it would be kind of cool to put like hooks and it would be kind of floating, but it probably wouldn't last as long. So Rick Shea and I have come up with a good plan. And I do
Great.
believe that the cost of that sign wouldn't be something the EAC would need to put out. It would be something we have, like a sign budget and a park budget, unless the EAC is looking to spend money and would want to do that. That's, up to you guys, but it wouldn't be a cost that the EAC would have to take on.
Any input on that?
Andrea, thank you.
If we don't have to pay for it, I guess we shouldn't,
I think,
right?
yeah, I would agree with that. Even though we have a lot of money right now.
We'll use it for other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're working on that, and I'll keep you guys updated. It is, I have been working with Rick to get that accomplished.
Awesome.
Okay, that'd be really nice to get that done. The single-use plastics initiative is on hold for now. We all know that, but I wanted to just remind us. And then Sarman Park grant, have you heard anything about that grant money?
No, we have not.
Okay, it's one of those agenda items that just hangs on forever, but we'll see. Maybe someday we'll get something going. Okay, does anybody else have any other items for discussion tonight?
Do we want to vote on the May minutes?
Did they come? Jim, did you send them?
They did
Oh,
come.
okay.
I did send them out.
I don't need to look at them again. Does everybody is everybody looking at them?
Yes, I'm trying to look at them.
Okay.
Is this the one that needs to be corrected? Did one of them need to be corrected?
I thought you did correct it,
Okay.
Jim.
Okay.
Because I know I got a revision.
Okay.
Yeah, this looks good. You did make the corrections, I think. It was stuff that I had asked you to do.
Yes. Yeah, I remember.
Looks great. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay, so what shall we approve the May minutes? Is there a motion to approve the May minutes?
I make a motion to approve the May minutes.
I second.
I'll second.
Okay, all approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, excellent. Done.
Yay,
All right.
finally.
We're up to date.
Yay! Is there anything else we need to do tonight? Okay, how about a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, everybody. And it's only 8:30. Okay,
Yeah.
we did all right.
And Janine,
It was wonderful to sort of see you all, and maybe I'll have a new laptop soon. I apologize for my technological awkwardness. It's embarrassing. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Good
Kim, all the
night.
best for your wedding, for your daughter's wedding.